Welcome to Smart, Amazing Conversations with Dr. Nancy, a podcast that takes a look at stories of life and leadership for smart, amazing women and men like you.
The way I can give support to the world right now is by showing up. The most important thing is don't think just that you have to bring anything. Bring yourself, show up.
If you are in a position of leadership and a position of management, bring women along with you.
Supporting women is Dr. Nancy's passion and her purpose, and talking with other women and men who promote women's leadership is one of her favorite things to do.
I've yet to meet a woman who did not know what she really wanted. She was just either afraid to ask the questions or she was afraid of what the answers meant.
Their stories connect us and help us understand that the possibilities are endless if we support each other and lift other women up.
Trust is created by persistent identity. I show up in my conversations. I build relationships. I show up as myself time and time and time again. And trust is built. It's one conversation at a time.
Today's guest is Dr. Ludy Green, an internationally recognized human rights advocate, author, and pioneer in the fight to end violence against women through economic empowerment. Dr. Green is the founder of Second Chance Employment Services, the nation's first placement agency for survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking. The organization has transformed hundreds of lives through financial independence. Dr. Green is the author of Ending Domestic Violence Captivity, host of the Ending Domestic Abuse podcast, and a sought-after speaker who has served in key roles for the U.S. Senate, State Department, and international organizations. Fluent in 6 languages and armed with a PhD in business administration, Dr. Green brings extraordinary insight and passion to her mission of breaking cycles of abuse and rebuilding lives. Now, here's Dr. Nancy and her guest, Dr. Ludy Green.
Let's start talking about you, because women, you're beautiful, you're talented, you're so accomplished, but we all come from a place that we've had our ups and downs, and we've learned our stories. So storytelling is extremely important. So, Dr. Ludy, tell us how you became you. That's what I want to know first. How did you become the you I'm talking to right now?
Well, I come from an amazing mother, a mother who believed in me, who always told me that all my dreams can become true. And I had big dreams when I was a little girl. I wanted to study, I wanted to grow, I wanted to move to another country. And she said, there's no limitations. You can do it. Unfortunately, my mother died early. So I was left with my dad, and my mother had a background of abuse. So she was a victim of violence. And I came here to the United States and moved to Washington, D.C. Because I wanted to pursue my studies at the George Washington University. So I had a chance when I arrived. I tried for a few weeks to identify employment, and I was able to become an intern in Capitol Hill. And that's where my story started. So interestingly enough, I was by myself, so I wanted to do something, make a difference, and at the same time find others like me who, friends and community. So I saw an ad on the Longworth building when I went to grab a sandwich, and it was saying that a shelter for battered women, they were looking for volunteers. At that time, I spoke English very barely. I didn't even know what a shelter was. And battered women, I couldn't understand well, but I just wanted to see what it was. So I went and ended up learning that there was housing there to help women who were victims of abuse. And in this home, women had training. They take care of them for a few weeks until they find their way out of their situation. So I found it fascinating, and I decided to become a volunteer.
Yeah, fantastic.
So from there, that's how I learned that women, they become dependent on the abuser because of financial issues. Learning and seeing the women on a regular basis, that they were coming in and then going back to the abusers, I was start questioning myself why they will come to the shelter and then go back to the abuser. And I start questioning. I start asking, because I became friendly with them, and learning that they were telling me, well, I cannot leave my home. I cannot leave my husband because I do not have a job. I don't have money. I don't have education.
Yeah.
And it was the same story of my mother. And I promised myself, that clicked on me. I promised myself, I'm going to help, and I'm going to become a volunteer forever to this cause. And that's what it drove me to become what I do right now, even though my career was totally different, but this drove me to do something totally, completely in a different way.
Well, you've definitely taken this this baton, this mission, this passion, and taken it to great heights. I was also a board member on a family violence center and child advocacy center. And my background as a psychologist takes me back to many times. And we worked with abusive women. And you know, it really was. It was very frustrating. We'd work very hard, find them homes, find them employment, and the next thing we know, they'd be gone. The husband had talked them back into leaving, and they'd be gone, and it was frustrating. You know, we also worked with the police because of sensitivity training, because again, do not understand the problem, because you really do become very frustrated when you work so hard and then they return to their husband. So it was frustrating, but you know, we're dealing with so many issues right now. And it goes back to, you know, and let's just get into the stuff, because we've got to talk about the issues right now. The DEI, the words they're taking out of any federally funded or federal organization, just the word woman. You know, we have some real challenges right now as far as helping women to build self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-dependency, depending on themselves. So we're in some challenging times, and we also know, and I also have worked with a human trafficking organization in LA, that human sexual trafficking is one of the second largest business in the country. So we really do have some real challenges to deal with, and we need people like you, because awareness is key and understanding is key. But first of all, let's think about this for a minute. What are we going to do when even the word woman or female is no longer going to even be allowed in any federal aid organization or federal organization? I mean, it's just bizarre what is going on. So I'd just like your thoughts on that.
Well, for me, I see always the United States as that country of opportunity. And I have so much faith in the country. And I just foreseen only that by working together and fighting and trying to help women more in the economic empowerment, especially because that has been my cause the whole time, has been just, you know, providing financial independence to women through employment. So I was the founder of Second Chance Employment Services, the first employment agency in the US for victims of abuse, with 7 sites around the United States. And that has been my whole taken. So I truly believe in this country, and I truly believe that we will move forward, and women will we will continue growing, things will keep advancing, and there's nothing that will stop us. People like yourself, like me, having followers and having that, we just have to continue. We can't let things, you know, bring us down. So discussing about that, you know, I think that's very important, people to understand that there are resources, that we have a lot of groups that they are out there helping. So victims of abuse, they're not alone. And also the other part is talking about education, how important it is for women to understand financial literacy.
Right, absolutely.
They need to understand from the early years. We need to encourage our girls, you know, and mothers to teach their daughters that it's so important for them to be financially independent.
It starts very early. It doesn't start, it starts as soon as the mother has a child or a daughter or even a son. They need to start talking about taking care of themselves, taking care of others, being responsible, building that self-confidence and that self-esteem.
It's critical.
You're an expert in domestic violence and human sexual trafficking. You know, and let's just talk about the book, because the book is extremely important. As you said, and I totally agree. Education, awareness is the key. We need to get more and more information out there. You know, we don't know what we don't know. And many of the things that are going on, we're seeing things, reading things, and hearing things that are not true, or that they're half truths. So your information and our information getting out there is so extremely
important. It's really true. So the book is called Ending Domestic Violence Captivity, A Guide to Economic Freedom. And I have it here. It was published by Ruth Gottenstein from Volcano Press in California. I was very lucky to have this woman identify me and decide to publish my book, which I'm grateful. And right now it's everywhere. So this book contains 20 years of research about violence against women in the area of economic empowerment, because that has been my whole taking. Seeing my mother experience, seeing women, the women that I have served for over 20 years hands-on, because my work has not been public awareness, but my work has been hands-on with victims, providing employment for them. So even though I was the president and CEO of my own organization at one point, and I had people working for me, I always took the lead on taking care of the women who were hardcore to place, because some people were very difficult to place in employment. So I was always hands-on on that. And then when I created the organization, Second Chance Employment Services, like I mentioned before, the first employment agency for victims of abuse, I created a methodology. The methodology I want to share with you is very important. It's created by partnerships. The first partners are the ones that provide employment. So we're organizations that, let me give you an idea, like Booz Allen and Hamilton, they were also small business. We were working with banks, SunTrust Bank at that time, PNC Bank. We were working with so many institutions, the George Washington University Hospital, people with the small companies, but they were all part of us. We started with about 85 partners, because I worked in the private sector for a while in the human resources field. So my friends, they started me. We were about 30 of us, 30 women, and they were all my partners in helping us provide priority placement services for the victims of violence. Then how did the women came? How did they find out about us? We work with other partners, where they're client partners. We're the Welfare to Work program, Department of Social Services, faith-based organizations, and other organizations like nonprofits that they could be there, that they will have victims of abuse, and as well as referrals. So we work with all these groups, and we work in a very, very easy way, because they all got to know each other. They got to refer. We had even a tracking system that tracked down every client. But we were very, how will I say, very confidential. Nobody will disclose anything. Everybody will do it in between us. It was just an amazing group. And I worked with them for over 13 years. It was just unbelievable, the experience. But it got to the point that I needed to share this methodology, this expertise. And I said, I need to write a book. It took me 3.5 years and another year to find the publishing company. But I think has been the most wonderful thing, because from there, I have been able to share the methodology to social entrepreneurs, not only in the United States, but around the world. I have been in so many countries, from Finland to Morocco, United Arab Emirates, Vietnam, Malaysia. Many of my trips around the world have been representing the United States through the State Department. So they help me go and send me, as the representative, and share the methodology and share best practices on combating violence against women and human trafficking as well. So this has been an amazing experience. And through that, I decided, well, this book has made so much difference. And not only in the life of others, but in my own life. Yeah. I was going to be in the field of, human resources, and that was going to be my career. But this experience as a volunteer on this shelter for battered women gave me a life mission, gave me a real, true reason for living and to fight for others. Yeah. So for me, I'm so grateful that this came to my life. And I encourage people through my book, when they read I think it's the second chapter, they can read about my story and how everything went through, and how did I learn that, and how it changed my life. Because let me tell you, I can have a sour day, I can have a hard day, I can cry one moment, but the next day I'm laughing and I'm happy, because I receive a note from somebody thanking me, knowing that their life has changed, and that many people are thriving.
Tell us about a story. Tell us about one of the women that you worked with, that you get a note from, they make you happy. Because again, it's all about testimonials, about all the women that you changed. And we know when one woman changes that way, she can go in and also help other women. So tell us a story about someone that comes to mind, that you're so happy that you met her, she went through your services, the methodology worked, and today she is fully functioning, happy individual. Tell us a story about that.
Yes. For example, we have, I remember this lady who came to our organization. She was a wife of a former, no, he was not a former, he was an ambassador at the time from one of the African countries here in the United States in DC. And she had run away because she shared her story that her husband was not letting her learn English. She was a person who spoke French. She was a Francophone, and thank God I speak that language. She was not able to communicate well. He was beating her. He was not providing to her, a way to integrate to society, keep her on the side. Then they have a child. The son got very sick, and that's what it made her run away from the relationship. Her husband wouldn't give her money to take the child to a doctor, and he almost died. So she asked help, ran away to a neighbor. Somehow these people helped her, and she was able to, save the life of the child, and they ran away to a shelter, which was the Trinity United Methodist Church somewhere in Maryland. I remember clearly. And it was during a Christmas time. And I remember my husband, my daughter, and I, we were ready to leave the city. And this was really an amazing story. I will never forget, because we're ready to leave. It was like about 3 or 4 days from going. We were going skiing for the holiday. I wanted to take my daughter with her friends. And this lady was desperate, but this lady was my priority, became my priority. And how we're going to find her a job? She doesn't speak English well. She couldn't, barely. And then I realized, I used to work for this international organization, the World Bank. I spoke French there and I spoke Portuguese, so they may need her. And I called one of my contacts, and this came from heaven. She said, bring her on, let's take a test. There's administrative positions, let's try her. So I remember, but this doesn't happen usually. It's not like from one day to another. You take a whole process to get on. This took 2 days for this woman to get in place. So that's what I have never forgotten about her. Yeah. Philomene is her name, Philomene. And she basically went to the interview, did the testing, she could pass. She got employed basically a few days after. So not only I was able to go on my trip, but she got employed and she still works there. She hasn't retired. Her son grew up. Her son went to the university, already graduated, who's already working. I think she's right now like an administrator. So she has a much higher profile position. She has her own home. They moved to Arlington instead of Maryland. And she's a successful person who has gone to so many interviews on TV with me, with my galas. So it's one of the most amazing stories I ever had with a woman who got in place and her life is, completely well and recovered.
And you're making a very good point with this story, is that a lot of people have an idea about what abused women are, but they come from all sectors of life. And several of the women that I worked with were professional women. But they were already in employment. They were already in walks of life that were what somebody would look at and say, well, they're fine, they're okay. But we don't understand abuse. Abuse, a lot of these women they get married, and all of a sudden this person would become abusive. And then they were embarrassed, they were ashamed, they didn't know what to do about it. So just the idea of abuse needs to be understood. And it completely goes through the sector of life, and many women that you may know or not know about may be being abused. So the important thing is for us to definitely get the information out that there is help, that they're not alone, and that there's somebody that cares about them. So, correct. So Second Chance Employment Services, the book, continue. So the book is out there now. What do you want people to learn when they pick up this book and open it and read it? What are the most important things that you want them to learn?
Something that I think that is very critical, the people understand what types of abuse are and how to identify abuse. Many people don't know what abuse is. In many homes, people have grown up where their father or their mother has slapped them. That is not a way of living. Yeah. Slapping is a total disconnection. You can't, and some people think that that's normal. That oppresses and really causes a lot of damage on children. And later on, they do it to others. And so people need to understand.
Yes, the cycle continues.
The cycle continues. And then people to understand about economic abuse. Many of them, they don't even know what economic abuse is.
Yeah.
So in my book, when they open, they will understand what economic abuse is.
Yeah, if I keep all the money and I give you a little money here and a little
Exactly.
money
Okay,
there,
here you can have your,
yeah.
Okay, I can give you $20 for you to go and have your lunch today. You are under economic abuse because you have to have your own money to go and make your decision to buy whatever you want.
I think a lot of women, a lot of people in general think of abuse as someone physically being harmed, but mental abuse is more damaging
as well.
Than physical abuse.
The put downs,
putting someone down, making them feel small and smaller. This has been the difficult part of having women to change and to leave these relationships because they have no self-esteem, they have no self-confidence, and again, they have no one else. They're ashamed and they're embarrassed, and they don't want others to know about their situation and that they've been in it as long as they have. So,
and in my book, they're going to identify how to find those red flags that will lead them to understand.
Put the book up, hierarchy. Let me see. Put it up. Okay, there we go. Well,
so they will be able to understand what domestic violence is, what is economic abuse, what is mental abuse, so they can be able to combat it, to find ways of support themselves and help themselves and not get into it, also for prevention. Because if we understand what it is, we can teach others, we can help our friends, we can help our family. So I think it's very critical.
Well,
and
I mentioned about sensitivity training for law enforcement. Because again, even these institutions that you're involving have to understand the impact of abuse. And because again, the officers that go out for these calls, sometimes the sensitivity that they should have during these calls and these interventions are so very, very important. Do you talk about that as far as working with other organizations?
Oh, yes, we talk a lot about, how we have worked with other organizations. How do we work with the police? The police has been critical with us and how they help us in our community, in the different communities that I work with. I've done a lot of work in New York City, a lot of work here in Washington, D.C., where I live. So we have done and thrive, and we're partners. We're still partners because I want to share with you what right now we created a resource center, and that we haven't gotten to there yet. A podcast that I created due to the inspiration of a lady. So that's another story to share as well.
Ending domestic. Your podcast is called Ending Domestic Abuse. Absolutely.
Correct. Absolutely. So during the lockdown 2020, where we couldn't even escape or anywhere, they shut down the shelters. Where can people go? You were just basically in a room. If you live in a 1-bedroom apartment with all those children and your husband, or you can live in a big house with your husband as well. So one day it was, I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday, I can't remember exactly, but a note was slipped through the door in my house, in my neighborhood. I live in DC. And a note that was the name of a lady saying, please help me. My husband is trying to kill me. From nowhere. I'm like, who is this person? So yes, the name and a number. And I shared it with my husband. He said, Ludy, we're in lockdown. We can't be going and doing meetings and do it. I said, that could be my daughter. That could be me or my mom. I can't let that pass. So I basically called the woman and I took the risk. I'm like, I'm going to see her. We met on a corner not far away from my house, where we used to be there, like I think it was some coffee shop. At that time, everything was shut down. And she showed me a scar her husband had cut her neck. It's unbelievable. I mean, high profile people, a woman with a master's degree, MBA, that woman, beautiful neighborhood, so much wealth. Well, the story started. Her husband's business started bleeding. So he started losing a lot of money. So he got scared. So the finances start really going into struggle. And he started drinking. So he took it on her. And it started with insults, and after that, beating her. And then at the end, yes, he lost it and, became basically crazy in his behavior. The lady decided to basically reach out to me because in one of those rageous moments that he had, he picked up the little boy, 4-year-old son that they had together, and threw against the wall, and the boy got a concussion. So that was it for her. I need help. Somebody has to help me. And the interesting thing, she would not even call her parents. She did not call the parents. So she calls in a stranger, and she found out about me through a magazine that made an interview of me like several months ago. And because they learn about my work here in the city. And I'm like, how did she find my house? I couldn't even figure it out. So I told her, I'm like, right now is a very hard time. So the first thing I thought was, well, I'm going to reach out to the people from the Second Chance, the organization that I founded. And we have still volunteers and people that can help us. And that's what I did. We reached out, we got her out. But the smart thing I told her, say, you need to take pictures of everything. We need to have evidence, because if you remove yourself from the house and you take your son, you can get into a real bad problem. I mean, like, she was sort of like, she's kidnapping the son. That's what they would have blamed her, but she wasn't kidnapping. She was saving their lives.
Yeah.
So we were able to rescue her. We kept her in the house of one of our partners. And then from there, she was able, when things got better, we were able to move her to Philadelphia where her parents live. And fortunately, after it took about over 2 years, she was able to get just half of the house, but for at least half of the house. Right now, she lives with her parents still, with her son, but she works. She finally works. She decided to just take on something and work and take care of herself and realize, how things are. And right now, she's writing her own story, which is amazing.
The courts have changed now. Women who do not choose to prosecute an abuser, a husband abuser, now become the advocate of that woman. So this has changed also. Some great steps have happened in the legal world as well. What are some of the other things that really help to protect women who basically aren't going to protect themselves? They're fearful, they're afraid of the repercussions. Again, if they have children, they're afraid of that. But the court system and the legal system has really improved and changed to be advocates for these women. Isn't that true?
Yes, it is true. There's so many good changes, so that I'm grateful for, but still we need so much to go. There's so many things that they're not going straight and they're not helpful. Right now I'm dealing with 3 different cases. So going back to my story and about the podcast, thanks to that woman, she inspired me, because I said, how are we going to help people like her? How they're going to find out about us? Where can they go? And I said, if I call the chief of police and if I call the mayor's office, I may be able to create something here. So I created a partnership with them, and I said, I'm going to do a podcast, and they can promote through that, put it on out there, and people start promoting this thing, and people start coming through via podcast. And our phone number, we have a hotline, so they can call and we can help them. And I said, okay, let's start it. So we started like that with just a first person who was a judge from Florida. That was my first interview. And we got one client because the woman heard the story, listened to the story, and then she contacted us for help. So that's how the whole story started. And right now, since 2020 to now 5 years after, now became the resource center for victims of abuse. Of course, a much smaller scale than the organization Second Chance, because that was very, very large. But now, no matter what, we are about 11 volunteers. So we're helping women on a regular basis. I have 2 people working for me and helping me, with the programs and identifying partners and identifying employment. So we have our guests who come with us, they become our resource. They offer to be a resource. Some of them have been mentors. For example, we had a lady who is the president of a very large organization here in the city. And she said, I like to work with entrepreneurs. If you have ever anyone. So we had a woman who wanted to create a business, and this lady took her under her wing and made her now create her own company for the past 2 years. So it seems like she's doing well. So that's what I like, that even virtually, we're getting people who they're engaged in helping survivors of abuse, I will say.
Oh, you're doing amazing things. You're connecting
Thank you.
the right people with the right things. And
yes, we are.
Again, we have to, as a community and a society and as a world, understand that we're all responsible. If one of us suffers, we're all responsible. So, Women Connect for Good, we're about connecting the dots and putting things out there and information out there. So we will promote what you're doing. But, one of the things I'd like to say is, who takes care of you? Who helps you? Who is your mentor? And I think that's something very important. Nobody gets anywhere alone. You have not gotten where you are today without.
No, it is so true. So beside my mother was an aunt. I had an aunt, my Aunt Melba, who lived with us, with my husband and I and my daughter. I brought her from South America, and she lived here for about, 20 years with us. And let me tell you, she was my backbone. She was the person that whenever I will have cries and frustrations, I mean, I will have someone to talk to and share my life and my story. And she got her own story of her own, a woman who she died at 99 a few years ago. But in her time, they didn't have education, but she decided to get education. She got into the field of accounting and retired as a vice president of a bank. And she wasn't a story for me. And it was someone that always told me, you need to write your book. You need to continue your work. You cannot let anybody bring you down. Don't let not even the economy, whatever is happening out there, you stay strong and forceful. But of course, I had as well, beside my aunt, who died at 99, I had two amazing women in my life. One lady who was the president, former president of NACO, Commissioner Barbara Todd, here in the United States, an amazing woman who all about education, women, children, and government. So that was a key person in my early years. And then another one from West Palm Beach, who used to be the mayor of Palm Beach, Commissioner Carol Roberts, who became like an American mother to me. And I love her. And she's one of my biggest inspirations, and always behind someone that I can pick up the phone and they're there for me. And they were part of the board of my nonprofit. They were behind that, all force, educating me about government, educating me about the issues, here and in their counties, and being part of that. So you're totally right. You can't do it alone.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to let you do it alone. We don't do that. Don't do that. Like I said, once you become a part of our community, we are many organizations. So information is key. So, very excited. So tell us how we can learn more about your book, Ending Domestic Violence Captivity. Go out and buy it. And then,
and then you can get our book at Amazon. You can get it on Barnes and Noble as well. And also, one very important, because you can find so many resources, so many stories. Go to the podcast. You can listen to Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. So it's everywhere. We have 7 platforms there, Stitcher as well. And the people that we have interviewed and the individuals who have been part of this podcast, they're unbelievable. One of them, let me give you a share, like Pat Mitchell. She was a former president of CNN. Let me tell you,
I know
she was a victim of her dad. She shared her story for the first time in my podcast.
Yeah,
I was in shock.
That's a friend.
What a book. And she's there for me. I can pick up the phone. She's there. I can email her. She answers. I mean, what an amazing individual. What a heart. And then I had also, Sheila Nevins, former president of HBO, wonderful lady from New York City, always there as well. And then Nadine Hack. I don't know if you know her. She's the CEO of Because Global Consulting, part of the International Women Forum. Amazing individuals who they're resources for our victims, resources for myself and out there. So I'm just very grateful. And I want people to listen to this podcast, Ending Domestic Abuse. You can find resources. You can find new people, network. I mean, there's so much there for you.
Well, I'm very happy and I'm very pleased that you're in this world, Dr. Ludy.
Thank you. Thank
so much. And again, we're all in this together.
Yes, we are.
Have to help one another. And so this is definitely an issue. And of course, right now with everything going on, I'm sure the abuse is just because we've got to get past the chaos and the fear. So with positive things that are going on out there, like the organization, and there is help, there are resources.
There is.
But we need to continue to educate and create awareness. So we will help you do that. Like I said, you see me once, you won't see me. This won't be the last time. So yeah.
I hope not.
No, absolutely not. In fact, I'm going to be in DC and I have a book launch and I'd love to invite you to.
I would love to come.
I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. I went to Thomas Jefferson High School. So I'm very
familiar. Of course I know it. Very familiar. Yes.
Very, very much my old stomping grounds. But I'm on the National Women's History Museum board, plus the ERA Coalition Board. So I'm in and out of D.C. quite a bit. So I look forward to meeting you personally. But we're going to get you an invitation to the book signing. I'm going to be in there for a fundraiser. Vote for your daughter. So we'll get you some invites and we'll get you to
Please do that. I will be there for sure. Count on me on that.
One of the things that we do, and Pat understands this, Mitchell understands this more than anything, is that we make introductions. So we're all about connecting and making introductions for everyone. So, but Dr. Ludy, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Continue to take care of yourself. This is tough work that you're doing. It's inspiring, but you really need to take good care of you. But we'll be in touch. Let us continue to have this conversation and continue to put the information out about your book and your podcast. And so I wish you all the best and many blessings and continued success in all works.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm so honored to have been in your podcast. And look forward to meeting you in person.
I'm honored to meet
getting your book.
And we will get some information to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. If you enjoy these smart, amazing conversations, please subscribe, rate, and review them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And read and enjoy more amazing stories in my books, In This Together, How Successful Women Support Each Other in Work and Life, and Leading Women, 20 Influential Women Share Their Secrets to Leadership, Business, and Life. Thank you for listening.